introduction.
What are these
Just,
percentages that they're giving us? Do you see this?
oh, oh, there we go.
What the fuck is that? Okay, whatever. I don't know. Okay.
Oh, you know what it is? Is
What is it?
it's saving in real time. That's what it is.
Oh, oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool, right? I know, I'm
All
learning
right.
Riverside.
Good for you.
So I can chop off the front part of this, but I do have a little introduction just to like kick us off because I think it'll be nice. Because I want to
Hmm.
do as little editing as possible, but to give you a little bit of
Yes.
a runway stretch to honor you and who you are. So I
Yes.
had my scribe help me with a little short introduction for you. Um,
Hmm.
oh, of course. And then when I have it, oh wait, I need to update this. Here we are. Okay. Just a short little paragraph of my experience of you, which I get to experience
Great.
more of. But for now, this is what came through. Fate would have it that the first time that we met, this beautiful being sitting in front of me, was on a really cold, somber day in Waynesboro, Virginia. And it was November 19th, which is a very special day for me, in fact, because 11 and then 19, which also connects us, which I'll come back to later.
Hmm.
But my father died on a 19. He was born on a 19th and then died on a 19th. And then, yeah, just 19 is a very special number for me as well. So well, V passed away on 11/19. That's what we're
She
commemorating.
did.
So
Yeah.
that's what it was. The memorial itself wasn't on 11/19, but that was like the anchor point. And then the church was on 11th Street.
Right.
So amidst the sea of black and gray, metaphorically and literally, there stood a few of us dressed in color, and it was like a pulse through the ether, vivified joy, magic meeting morning, a flicker of life where loss had settled in. Some voices crack you open, and some voices call you home. Yours does both. You're an artist who lets yourself be seen, and in doing so, you see all of us too. And it's an honor to share this space with you. You're someone who sings like you've been to the other side and back, like a
I
phoenix
have.
who's risen
Hmm.
from the ashes. Yeah, you bring back medicine for all of us, and it's very felt. So I am referring to you as the vessel of vibration,
Hmm.
each note a prayer, each lyric a doorway. So please welcome the luminous soul, Marie Tatti.
Yay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, you're so poetic. I love it. That's so great. Yeah, I mean, shoot, there and back. Yes, child. Oh my goodness. And I think about that. I think about that in my music a lot, in specifically in singing a lot. I think about how committed to authenticity I've been and how I just would not allow anything other than the most deep, authentic, real essence of myself to come through my voice. And that's been its own struggle and journey, but I feel like each time I've encountered a death or
Mhm.
encountered death through a family member or friend, my voice has deepened. Or really, each time I've encountered any transformation, each time I've gotten sick, each time, just something in my life is radically changing, that adds to the depth of the voice. And now I have this, like, I think, incredible and amazing voice that I always knew I had, but I couldn't access it when I was younger because of the tension that I just experienced from, like, being anxious and um, sort of feeling feeling disconnected from life, from people. Um, yeah, and then the more deaths I experience in myself and also in the form of other people shedding their bodies, the more I feel just like I release those layers of anxiety about whatever the fuck, like whatever, like what anybody thinks of it, or if I'm supposed to be here, or if it's good enough, or if the sound is absolutely perfect in the way that I want to hear it. So yeah, that's its own journey, I think, through a lot of shadow work, which
Mhm.
brings us sort of back to where we left off before the intro, which was so lovely. But
Yeah.
thank you. It is
Yes, of
wonderful
course.
to hear that and to have that
Yeah.
reflected.
It felt nice to hear that spoken from somebody who's, in my perception, it's funny how we perceive each other, right?
Mm-hmm.
But in my perception of someone who's very empowered in their voice, it's always nice to hear that. I was speaking with another artist friend of mine yesterday as well, who's just such a showman, can literally sing any song and just,
Mm-hmm.
and we both were kind of unpacking the same sentiment of just the artist journey of self-sabotage and just feeling like like you said, am I supposed to be here, like what and
Mm-hmm.
that's been for me because I've been wanting, and that's even why I got the tattoo of like being able to
Mm-hmm.
really access throat chakra. And when I'm on the medicine, specifically ayahuasca, a medicine that I work with, then the voice comes out because
Right.
it's uninhibited and that in
Right.
such a sacred space of knowing that all is welcome, and it's so palpable. And so I've been reflected back, hey, Elle, like more of that, more of that. And I'm like, "Ah." So it's
How?
very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. How do you do that in everyday life, in everyday circumstances, in any circumstances, when maybe the container outside doesn't feel safe? Like, yeah, building the capacity inside is like that safe container inside. That is the work. Oh my God, that is the work. To be able to just walk around and sing and speak openly, honestly,
Hmm.
with full voice, anywhere where it
Right.
makes sense, but
When did you
also
start
when it
singing?
doesn't. Oh, I don't remember. I mean, I was like a kid, a young kid. I always say it was maybe around 7 is when I knew. But my mom used to tell me that she thought that I would be an opera singer because of the way that I cried, because of the
Oh,
sound of my cry.
wow.
So you could say forever, like as long as I've been embodied, I've been singing.
How beautiful is that,
Yeah,
actually?
yeah,
She's like, you
right.
have such a powerful grief.
But really,
Wow.
just yeah, like the voice,
Have you
the
sang
wail,
opera?
the. I have, yeah, I did. I did train some a few years back, and for a few years, which was really good to help me structure the song and help me learn how to support it. But I think that I can access it, and sometimes I find it beautiful. But I really learned to sing through like choirs,
Hmm.
church. Grew up in black church, and I'm so grateful for having that experience because it's like, it's the experience of singing with others. And when you're singing a choir, like you're singing full voice and matching, the people around you, trying to blend tones. So it's just a really great. I just love choir singing because of that, because of all the ways that it uses the voice, and the dynamics and everything, harmonies, all that. And then I think there's something extremely medicinal. So it's like really old and ancient and ritualistic and medicinal about singing out with others like that, especially in praise of the Most High. And of course, I'm not religious. I never was, even when I went to church. But I do. I mean, I honor the great spirit that becomes us and creates
Hmm.
us, and um, that gives us purpose. So yeah, I love church singing. Still to this day, I'm like, if I will walk into a church if I hear the music is good.
Same, same, same.
I'll be like, I don't care what y'all talk about, but if the music is
Uh-huh.
good, you're moving me.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, that's I attribute mostly church choir to my singing presence.
Yeah, that was where I began to sing too, in church. My mother was on the choir team as well. So, yet it's very interesting to just think about. I always felt, and I heard you say, it's so funny because I would normally say the same thing. I'm not religious. That's something that I've said many times. And then as you were speaking, I was like, it's because we are the religion. So, like, we're not religious because we are. I am simply I am.
Right, definitely
So
that.
that's why I think there's
Yeah,
this separation that's kind of in a world
yeah.
starving for sacred right now. I saw a study recently, actually, I think it was like last week, and they were saying that churches were vacant for a long time. And now, because
Mm-hmm.
of the world being at war all over the
Mm-hmm.
place, now
Mm-hmm.
churches in America, again, specifically America, are filling in again. There was like a
Mm-hmm.
vacancy, and now it's starting to fill again. And I actually found that to be beautiful because I was like, yeah, there is this intrinsic desire in me. I'm in Mexico right now, but there's a desire there's not very many churches here in Tulum. And in fact, I said at a little church event that I was face painting at with little kids there, I was like, this little church is like a little shack. Like literally particle board is where they live in this little church, this home church. And I was like, we need to get them financing. We need to build them a church. Like, this is not okay. They're living in like particle board. Like, this is their home and the church. This is the community church. Like, what? And then, yeah, curious your thoughts on this. It's interesting. The last church, I don't want to go down too many rabbit holes, but the last church that I was a part of was TD Jake's daughter's church. So, Sarah Jakes. My
Mm.
ex-husband was the worship leader actually at 1LA. So Black gospel choir, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an
Mm-hmm.
all yes. And I find that the power of the spirit, source energy,
Mm-hmm.
love, despite of course the fallacies and different things of the pastors and the staff and the deacons and the bishops, which I had a lot of church hurt around.
Yep,
A lot of
definitely.
church hurt around.
Me too. Anxiety.
Very much.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yet, as I mature and come back closer to even before we popped on here, what I was sharing about is like this monastic journey of being so devoted to the divine. I have this craving for church. So I was at this church event here in Mexico, in Tulum, which is Mayan land.
Mm-hmm.
And there was actually this group of beautiful Black women that were also supporting at this church event to face paint and do these things with the kids.
Hmm.
And I was speaking to this woman, I was like, man, we need to get this little church financed. We need to build them a beautiful church. And she kind of looked at me, and I was expecting to be received in that, like that I wanted to like help fundraise, right? We're all here to support. And she kind of looked at me like, we're on Mayan land. Like, this is not the Crusades again. Like, she was like very triggered, in fact, that I was like wanting to
Mm.
help build up the church in a
Mm.
Mayan. And I understood yes,
Mm.
and in that moment where I was like, while I hear you now, the pyramids here are commodified because that's been infiltrated. So a
Yep.
space for the community to come and sing. We're there with all the kids singing in Espanol, church
Mm-hmm.
songs. And I was like so elated. I was like, we need to give them a space. We need to create a space for the
Mm-hmm.
community to be worshiping the spirit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, that was a recent activation in my life where I was like, huh, right, of course, but like
Yeah,
where do we go in times such as these?
exactly. Exactly. And that, right. And that's like, we need that. We need that. And I get people divorcing from the church. I get trauma in and propagated by the church. But, God didn't do that to you.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
also, you know, the point of having a communal rite and
mhm,
ritual weekly
mhm,
where
mhm,
you get to know people, people get to know you, people pray over you, you can come and air your grievances, your problems, your issues. It's where you come and announce your, life milestones, weddings, babies, funerals, deaths. Um, we need that.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't evolved beyond needing that, and I don't think that we should. Like, I think an evolution beyond that is AI. It's just something else. It's not
Mm-hmm.
it's not human
Mm-hmm.
anymore because
Mm-hmm.
we need each other. We are social creatures. We hear this over and over again. Like, I'm not even going to repeat how many times um, uh, we need to hear that. Like, we need each other. We are interdependent. Every time we try to step out and be independent, it's a catastrophe for ourselves, for the people around us. I mean, look at what's happening with the office clown right now. Like, it's just catastrophe when we separate from um, nature, when we separate from nature. And our nature is that we have somewhere to express ritual together, and to create ritual together. And I really get it. I have lived it. Like, when my grandmother died, I hadn't been back to my childhood church in years and years, and I had to show up for her funeral, and I was anxious because the pastor of that church had said some anti-LGBTQ things, and there were things around that, but also, like, my relationship when my mom was really fraught when I came out as a teenager, and she responded with all this religious doctrine that is so against nature. And I think, like, what I was experiencing when I was going to church was that the music was the religion for me. Like, I was
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm here, my heart is open, I am receptive, I am healing, I am feeling, I am changed by this experience with this music. This music is the catalyst for growth for me. And so, to me, that's God. And then I felt that way all the way through my adolescence, and I would say even like most of my 20s, until I encountered God in nature. And I started forming a closer relationship with nature through plants, plant caretaking,
Mm-hmm.
plant cultivation. And I was like, oh, actually, like, this is the representation of God. This is the reflection of God. But then zooming out from that, it's just like God is literally all of this. It is everything. God is everything and all. So, my experience of God feels differently than yours because of how, like, my access points to God, but it doesn't change who God is, and that God can permeate and does permeate all things. Um, yeah. So that's like,
Mm-hmm.
that's my response. Difference from religion and spirituality, if you want to call it. But I like the word spiritual because ritual is in spiritual.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I do like to use that word. Um, and I really just believe in our rituals, especially around grieving and death. Like, we we need, I it's like I almost want to say we need answers, but it's like the answers, it's more like I feel like we need to answer death with and grief with strength and community.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's why I always think it's so sad when families break apart over a death because they're fighting over the finances or the materials left over by the deceased person. That's like, oh my God. But then in other families, you have people brought together by the death. Like my sister and I, we were pretty young, really young adults when our mom died. And it just, it was like, okay, now we go together. And, and I think that that saved like my mind in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways to have um, that sibling love and attachment. It's okay to
Mm-hmm.
feel that kind of attachment because I think it's natural. Um, but yeah, that's been a journey too. There's
Mm-hmm.
so much, so much.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So many layers. Yeah. Grief also is connected to the voice so deeply. And when you said that, that hit me. And it's there. I had a vocal coach, Crystal Stark. She's an amazing woman. And she told me that after her first divorce, or her divorce. I don't know if the, I don't mean to sound like that. Her divorce, that she lost her vibrato, and she actually, I met her through my ex husband, and so she said to me, you know, it's gonna take a little time. And she's a
Mm-hmm.
professional singer. It's a
Mm-hmm.
powered black woman that can sing her
Mm-hmm.
ass off.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, after my divorce, I lost my vibrato. So it's been a journey for me, this adventure of pulling that red thread or golden thread, whatever you want to. And I've just kind of been like finding it both literally, metaphorically, all aspects, because I feel very strong in this, in being able to dialogue,
Mm-hmm.
even to dialogue to the black void and put things out. I've been doing that's a very worked muscle. Very
Mm-hmm.
worked. I mean, I've
Mm-hmm.
spent thousands of hours online talking
Yeah.
to the Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Um, I made a whole career out of it for 10 years. And now it's been interesting to find that the next initiation is to find it through a different medium. Um, and it's also a paradox because I feel like I don't want to rush the ready. So
Don't.
making it just about like my like sacred space, and the way that I'm now like performing my voice metaphorically is through painting, which is silent,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
but it's so loud too. It's like very colorful and vivified. I'm like looking out. I have all these paintings that I've been working on the last couple months on my walls now, and that's how I'm speaking, is actually through,
Mm.
or singing. I'm like singing through paint, and it's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And then I do have my bowls here, and I spend some time singing. But the performative aspect of me is so, like you said in the beginning, like I will not. That's not how I'm gonna come out with music. Is like where I'm like the performative aspect. It's Elton John. He always is like an inspiration for me, where he's like, you get to just see me commune with God. Thank you for coming to my concert, but this
Mm-hmm.
is just me and God. It just
Mm-hmm.
happens to be that y'all
Mm.
are here.
Yeah.
That's how I want to show up. I don't ever want it to be from this space of, and so I have yet to fully, uh, or I have moments of it, pockets of it, where
Mm-hmm.
I get lost in my own voice, and it's
Mm.
vulnerable. And it's even, it's so
Yeah.
intimate, even just with yourself.
Yep. It is. I've cried. I've stopped myself. I've heard things and been like, whoa, I'm not ready for that. Yeah.
Yeah, especially in times of grief. There's this deep voice that comes out of me, and it's like a spirit, I know, and it's deep, deep, like a deep part of my soul, and it gets super interesting. And I don't know an artist to like, I don't even want to do that, like compare it to, but it's so cool to be like a malleable voice too. I'm just
Yeah.
kind of a chameleon and like find different. So that's kind of the season I'm in, of just finding and using singing bowls to find that too. And
Yeah.
it's not about saying words necessarily. So call it speaking in tongues, call it, meaning I'm not one to ever say light language. I mean, I know a lot of people out there are saying that, and that's beautiful. It's more, to me, it's not about lyricism. It's kind of just, yeah, chanting. It's beseeching the Godhead, really. It's really, it's interesting that you said opera too. It feels like, yeah, I don't know. And I'm like, but from this
Mm-hmm.
place, I just want this season to just stretch into whatever it needs to
Mm-hmm.
be, instead of putting anything on it of like, okay,
Yeah.
I need to record. I had a friend say, okay, I
Exactly.
want a demo from you by June 1st, or yeah, June 1st, because he was just giving, and
I was
he
going to
was
say,
so
is this a
loving.
man? This sounds like a man.
No, and I literally was
It's
like,
very masculine to be
and I
like,
was
you have to
so
shape the thing
stressed.
quickly.
Oh, he knows V too, Robert, who came with us to Peru. And he was like, "Elle, your voice." He heard my voice on ayahuasca. He's like, "Your voice is amazing." He was like, "Okay, by June 1st, I want a demo." And that gave me 2 months, and I was like, "Okay." And then literally, I was so much more stressed that I couldn't sing.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was like, "No, that this isn't it. This isn't it." So I was like, "No, no, no, that's not it. I'm just gonna be painting." And then I just got lost in a piece of art. But I was like, "No, I can't force
Yep.
the voice."
No, you
Whew.
can't because you want it to be, thank you, I feel you. And you want it to be whole.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be whole, if especially if you're going to share it.
Mm-hmm.
So, in order for it to be whole, it has to also be like giving back to you in a way that, this is what I'm thinking now about my practice, because I've been kind of like hermiting for 6 years. Um, I've been performing, but it's like only just kind of sparsely. Like I just stopped pushing. I was just like, I need
Mm-hmm.
to heal. Um, but what I think, I want the voice to be whole. And in order for it to be whole, or for me to know that it's whole, it has to be giving back to me, overflowing, so that what I then present to the world is actually a fraction of the experience that I have with it. So that I don't get caught up in the things that people start to,
Yeah.
project on me or my offering because of their programming or their like acceptance of programming. I just don't need it. I don't need it. I have no interest in it. Um, and what I think will be helpful for me as a woman, as a person, like steeping myself in the feminine at this point in my life, after years and years of being like a boy, um,
Mm-hmm.
thinking in a masculine way, like protecting myself, just, pulling up everyone around me and not feeding myself, not nourishing myself enough. I learned, and I am learning, that there must be a way to honor the slow, the delicate, the small, detailed, um, subtle life that I'm attracted to now. And that goes like for just broad scale, broad spectrum with everything. And it doesn't mean that I can't also, run some shit still, but I need this time to strengthen in those ways. Um, so that, yeah, again, like what the world starts to expect of me, want from me, ask of me, try to extract from me, like I just want it to come up on a buffer. Like it doesn't even, that stuff doesn't even touch me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I am so divinely in relationship with God, and our relationship is communicating through this art form, whatever that art form may be at the moment in my life. And so my communication with God in mm, on the path of communicating with God, if God, or when God tells me, okay, it's time for you to share, it's it's got to be from the overflow.
Mm-hmm.
I just really feel that way. I feel that way about having kids. Like
Yes.
I'm not putting myself out to carry a relationship, to have children, to raise children. Like I want all those things too, but I think because I watched my mom and the frustration and the like implosion and eventual disease and death from imploding
Mm-hmm.
and, suppressing her creativity, I'm like, it's not worth it. Cause now I can't go to my mom's house, when shit hits the fan in my life. And I want an elder who knows me from the time of my conception to now to like just give me some comfort. I don't have that in the same way. And I just think I want to do a greater service to whoever my children are, whether they're humans that come out of my loins, or they're humans that come from other people's loins,
Mm-hmm.
or they are, you know, an album or a business or
Mm-hmm.
a project. You know, I'm really digging into this um, well of divine knowledge that I think is like, it's very mysterious and very sort of under wraps. Like it's there, but we have to go searching for it, and we have to excavate it, and we have to sort of put on blinders because people are going to tell us all sorts of things about what we're doing and how fast we should be doing it. Um, but I love that. I love that you're like, well, I know what I want to do with my voice, but right now, what I can access is this paint. And I mean, all that is so real.
Mm-hmm.
I sing and I dance and I act. So I do like all the performing arts.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
I've gone through phases since I was a young person, very young person, of like doing music, then focusing on acting, then focusing on dance, then going back to music, then. And I noticed that when I do one, it strengthens the other. It's not atrophying because I'm not doing exactly the thing. It's like, no, it is all part of the same sort of spirit or something, all part of the same well. So if I'm doing something related to it or from the same well, it's affecting everything.
Yeah.
So when I do come back to it and cycle back, I'm also stronger in the other art forms as well.
It's who we are.
Mm-hmm.
All of the forms. And in
Mm-hmm.
this hyper vigilant culture that continues to create more. And I've been definitely one that's continued to produce because it's just what I do. So I'm trying to find that because it's now like breathing for me. But that slowness and exactly what you said, I relate so much to feeling like Mowgli in my life. That's who I call myself. I'm like little Mowgli in the jungle, just like I've been just like this androgynous little kid that's just like, okay. Yeah, and also just holding space for everyone else, making sure. And it's so interesting to finally, I get to work with the soil more and soften into more feminine aspects. For sure, there's always more room to grow. And while every journey is subjective, I've found like this is the closer I get to 40, I'm like, whoa, this is cool. And I had to viscerally and archetypally feel into all of the aspects beyond the binary for me, because that was the journey that I needed to go through. And now the integration of the androgen being of both aspects of the face of God has been really beautiful and grueling.
Mm-hmm.
It's been
Yeah,
like
it's stormy.
really, yeah, it's stormy.
It's stormy.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what? Because now I'm like so femme to the point where I'm like, I
Same.
just want a beautiful, grounded, masculine
Yeah.
man to just fully hold the field. And I don't want to do anything.
Anything
Anything. I
for a
can
long
cook, I
time.
can make
Yep.
a home, I will make kombucha.
How does this
Like,
happen? I don't even know how, but it happens.
it happened quick for me. All of a sudden, it was just like, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I
Same.
just really just want to be a homemaker.
Same.
I just want to like watercolor with all organic materials. I just want to be here
I can't get over it.
foraging plants outside. I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything now. I'm so
Yeah.
femme to where I'm like maiden,
Yeah.
and
Me
it's
too.
that archetypal journey of the goddess
Yeah.
trifecta because I feel the crone, right? Of course, the crone is always very present
Mm-hmm.
in my life. Just I think you have that. very specific archetype as well. But then that between maiden and mother, because if our womb hasn't opened fully yet to like the full birth of a individual yet, then it's been this, yeah. But this is bringing me into so many like so much remembrance of conversations that I had with V about motherhood. And
Yeah.
just, I'm sure that you did too, of just,
Mm-hmm.
she knew human curriculum as the ascended master that she was. She had an access point to human curriculum as the archetype of mother
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that I just loved listening to, and just sitting at her feet metaphorically and just listening
Mm-hmm.
to her and being like, yeah, like you gave so much of your sustenance
Yeah.
to these little ones. And
Yep.
that's not something actually that I know. Because I, in fact, was contemplating this morning. I was like, as an artist, I think we're at this precipice on June 22nd or 23rd, what, 22nd
Mm-hmm.
of 2025. Yeah, where we just had crazy stuff even happened last night. That's just like new revelations of
Mm-hmm.
just going, what is going on? This was
Where are we
promised. This
going?
wasn't going to happen, and now we're here. Okay, great. Okay,
Yeah, but it was
fuck.
prophesized though.
I know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay. So there's a real part of me that romanticizes just kind of melting out into the ether and just kind of
Mm-hmm.
just disintegrating into dust
Mm-hmm.
sooner than later, just because
Mm-hmm.
I'm really exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And then I find that it's conversations that I had with V of just like this idea of motherhood and like again, all children, as you mentioned earlier, are all children are our children, whether they come from our loins or not.
Mm-hmm.
And recognizing that putting one foot in front of the other is like the way, and to produce something, even if it's one person that they felt something
Mm-hmm.
from that, from you and your channeling
Mm-hmm.
from on high. um but I do find that until I have children, there is an aspect of me that has this knowing that as deep as this vessel can be, there's an entire other layer to myself, because I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I already speak to children in the ether, and I did have an early miscarriage, so whether it's a spirit that just hasn't fully actualized yet, which is a teacher, shamanic teacher has told me that
Mm-hmm.
could be the tether of that spirit as well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
or it's future, because I'm not putting
Yep.
attachments on it. It's the only way
Right.
to live. So I'm like, okay, because I lived for a few years there in the attachment of it being
Mm-hmm.
the future children, and I'm like, okay, I'm really trying to step back and give it air to breathe and just be like, okay, or it just is. It just is. It's all
Yeah.
consciousness speaking
Yeah.
back to itself. And even though those messages can human meaning making, in our minds, create, I'm just knowing that whether it's my inner child, whether it's a future spirit or a past, it's all just one same plane of consciousness.
Right. Yes, that makes me think of something that you said earlier that reminded me of it was almost a dream, but there was like a phase that I went through sometime in May, this past May.
Mm,
And I just was sort of receiving a lot of information, not quite in the dream state. Hold on, let this pass. Flying object. Ooh, I'm in proximity to DC, and I'm like, ugh,
interesting.
what? I should not be here. Um, so so one of the things that came through during that time, this past May, was um, that this was about like a couple of my exes. It started as one, and then it sort of morphed into, I've also been married. I was married to a woman in my early 20s, and like she's a soulmate, and we still have this interesting thing where even though we don't really talk, we are in community with each other through other people. Um,
Mm.
and um, so I sort of had this thought. I was thinking about her a lot, and I hadn't been thinking about her at all for years. And I was like, I wonder what this is. But it was like
Mm.
another layer of sort of realization. And that layer helped me with a more recent breakup with the first man that I ever dated seriously. That like that whole thing broke my heart and it was
Mm.
very stormy. But it helped me to understand my value and specifically my feminine value, right? Which I just had not been operating in before then. So
Mm.
now I have this revelation, and this revelation is that it's like in the feeling of this revealing coming over me, I was a whale. And whales are huge. They swim in this huge vast ocean of um, reality and possibility and dimension, a lot of dimensions in the ocean. And so I'm this whale swimming in the ocean, and then I meet up with this other whale, right? And we're like swimming, and it's groovy and everything, and we're swimming together, and it's fun. And then that whale has to go off on its own path. We're no longer on parallel paths swimming next to each other. The times that I've experienced this, like in real life, it was devastating. I
Mm.
mean, like I had to save my own life. It was devastating. But in this moment of reliving it for this revelation, I was like, I don't think I have to be devastated. And
Mm.
then I kept swimming, and down the line, me and that whale met up again. And it was like, oh, hey, yeah, hey, oh, cool. So we get to do this path again real quick. I know we're going to have to separate at some point because the point is not to go forever on the same path with this other mystical, magical creature who also is moving through multi dimensions and has a lot of work in all the dimensions to do. The point is to enjoy the time that we have together to learn and grow and to continue. And it just felt so it felt so healing in that
Mm.
moment to think about my exes in this way and to have this feeling of just like trust in that I'm okay to swim alone. Like I won't be alone forever. I know that there will be times that I get to swim next to another magical creature. And I can miss them, but I don't need to be devastated by the
Mhm.
separation because if we need to come back together into parallel paths, parallel currents, then we will. If not, it still will be okay. Like we did the work. We did our jobs together, which was to enjoy the time. Um, but the point is that the ocean is vast and multidimensional. I'm a vast being, and yeah, it just something that you said reminded me of that
Mhm.
again, and so I just really wanted to put that on the table because it
I'm
it just
so
was
glad you
so
said that.
healing. Yeah,
It's wild. I was going to tell you, even before you mentioned the whale thing, the first instance of me even knowing that you were a fractal of divinity in human form was when V sent me your song 1111.
yeah, right. Your
And
namesake.
and I was like, "Oh, wow." And so I listened to it today before we jumped on. And then I realized I was like, I did a reading today from this oracle card deck called the Starseed Oracle,
Hmm.
and three cards fell out. Excuse me. Well, I did a few multi anyway, it doesn't matter. But like it was actually multi-deck reading. And so one of the cards was from the Starseed Oracle, and then one was from the Lightworker deck. That's what it was. The Lightworker deck 1111 came out. Like meaning I've never actually pulled that card, ironically. Like
Wow.
it's not some card that comes out that often. You'd think I see 1111 and like 11 it follows me everywhere. But I've been waiting to pull that card again. I was like, oh, it hasn't come for a while. And I pulled that one and I was like, oh, that's Marie's song too. That's interesting. And guess what card came out of the Starseed Oracle?
The whale.
the
Oh my God.
whales.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have not pulled that card in years either.
Yeah.
And it was speaking about singing.
Yeah.
And I was like the song and the voice, and I literally kind of
Wow.
like, because my singing bowl, since I got back from Arizona, I'm going through another little grief portal because I let down my or we transcended my beautiful beloved familiar back to the stars. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at a painting that I did of him, so my dog.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been my like everything. So for so long, 14
Mm-hmm.
years. So grief is connected to that.
Mm-hmm.
So I brought my
Mm-hmm.
singing bowls to help release him back to the stars. But have I picked up
Mm-hmm.
the bowls since I got back to
Mm-hmm.
Mexico? Not one time,
Mm-hmm.
because it's been such a deep portal.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the spaciousness to just be in my own little, but I have not really been singing at all in the
Mm-hmm.
last month. And then I pulled that whale card today, and then you said whale, and I was like, oh, okay, interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I know
Interesting.
whales are so magical. I don't know a lot about them, but I just feel like, ooh, the stories they could tell, the things they could transmute for us if we would just like respect them. Ooh. Um, yeah, yeah. Singing the vastness of being a big, beautiful whale and being so magical and powerful that like being alone is not alone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And being alone is good because you need that for your magic. And you'll be surprised by the times that someone pops up on your current and you reflect, right? And it's fun, it's great. But like the detachment or the non attachment to, you know, glomming on to like needing that whale to go with you on your current or
Right.
going on that whale's current. Like we cannot do it. Um, because then would be, yeah, I don't know. And it would be against our magic. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I love how
Something
it gave me
else.
such a visual as you were saying that, because the seas are such a mystery for us.
Mm-hmm,
And whales are, I mean, as above, so below. So
mm-hmm,
that is galactic, even though it's
mm-hmm.
under. Like, it's funny how we don't
Yeah.
really often think of that, but the seas, and that's why the sounds that they put off are such galactic, interdimensional. I like how you said that. And I was like, what a beautiful metaphor. That's exactly what it is. And it's the depth of the bottom of the ocean, just like this
Yeah.
mysterious
Yeah.
space down in the
That most
depth.
creatures don't go to, can't reach. Yeah, exactly. And
Wow.
singing bowls, I love that you have them. I also don't play mine that often, but I had a really beautiful experience with singing bowls one time when I needed to rest my voice because I had overexerted it, and I was receiving a sound bath through Zoom. Um, this wonderful black woman who worked with singing bowls and chimes and stuff, and she played one tone, and I remember just impulsively wanting to match it. But because I was on a vocal rest, I didn't want to use my voice. So what I did was open my mouth and open my instrument as if I were making the exact same tone that the bowl was. And I felt the resonance in all the same places.
Whoa.
It was incredible. It felt so healing. I've never felt anything like that. I was like, oh, this is how sound healing works. Like, for
Interesting.
real, it works. So having that resonance, being able to heal those places that needed to be healed within, because like, yeah, I mean, I when my mom died, I didn't sing for a year.
Hmm.
I didn't do anything expressive for a year. I was like, I gotta let this sit. So yeah, so just being able to have tools like that where I'm still in prayer with the
Hmm.
divine through tones and through sound. Um, but if I need to rest, I can rest
Hmm.
and allow life to deliver me through. Yeah.
Right. See, that's back to that performance piece.
Hmm.
Because it's like, just let the bulls heal you.
Hmm.
And I just watched a little part of myself. I'm like, as you're saying that, I was like, right, I can just sit and play I don't need to be singing. But because I was leading a few sound baths and singing with the sound baths, I am like, oh, well, and I'm like, but then I just don't even look at them. Don't
Yeah.
even like acknowledge them that they're there. I have
Yeah.
these tools to really
Yeah.
support my nervous system and
Yeah.
some beautiful, and do I bring them out?
I know.
So it's this interesting thing of that performance based.
Right.
It's such an interesting thread that I keep pulling and looking under the hood at and going,
God, me too.
I have it written on my mirror where it says, I am safe to receive. I can't actually see it at this angle. Um, I am safe to receive something, and it's about performance because I have another one written on another mirror in this house. But I am like, no, it is like, because the performance aspect of me growing up with entertainers as parents, oh my God, it is just riddled throughout my mind.
Yeah.
Of just like,
Yep.
I can, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 no,
Mm-hmm.
no. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not it.
Mm-hmm.
It's, too.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm-hmm. I
like,
do know.
exactly what you're doing. And I'm like,
Yep.
and it's something I'm great at. And
Yep.
I'm facing off with myself for this last
Yep.
season. Total
Yep.
hermitage. Just
Yep.
being like, mm-mm,
Yep.
no.
Yep.
And that says a lot when people can do that. Like when that means you're a real artist, because
Mm-hmm.
then you're like, because I know I could go out and just do like, it's right now.
Mm-hmm.
No, we can even have AI write the songs for us and do that.
I
And it's like
know. It
ridiculous.
could be so
And I'm
easy,
like,
but it wouldn't
no,
be spiritually
uh-uh.
easy. It would not be easy spiritually. So everybody else would love it and we would end up hating ourselves. And that's not worth it. That's not worth it.
This is the era of the celebrity dying, because think about how
Mm-hmm.
many of these beautiful, beautiful channels and vessels for voice and song, have, of course, because we are all the breath of spirit. So source energy just moves through us as artists. So
Mm-hmm.
we, whoever, doesn't matter, mainstream, has just been using their voice. But really, I do see this next wave of missionary work, for
Mm-hmm.
lack of better words,
Yeah. Yeah.
being, and like to loop it all into like one big like circle, is the new wave of church, of song, of ceremony, of ritual, of healing and coming together as one whole, symbiotic, interdependent group of beautiful beings, is through, yeah, all women, children, all bodied beings singing together in one space, and it not being at some concert idolizing. And so this is the prophecy. And to
Mm-hmm.
take it back to the ocean, the reoccurring dream, as I was at that church at 1LA, and I spoke to one of the other gospel singers about this dream because it was so vivid and it kept coming strong. This was back in 2018. I said, I've been having these really vivid dreams that there's going to be a tsunami that hits Los Angeles,
Oh,
a
wow.
really big tsunami that's going to hit Los Angeles. And she was like, Sister, I've been having the same dream.
Stop.
And I was like, and guess what the dream was, though? That, like Noah's Ark, we knew the tsunami was coming. Like we had an awareness that it was coming before it hit. So we
Mm-hmm.
all went to that PCH, and the animals, and two by two, we were making our way down,
Oh my God.
and we literally held hands, and all the animals stood next to us, and we made this line facing the ocean, and we started singing one note.
Whoa.
And then the waves went, ooh, yeah, I have chills saying, the waves just went right back into the ocean, and we stopped the tsunami.
Whoa.
So I believe this
Whoa.
is very meta,
Mm.
and V Joy Meta is who connected us. This is fun. But it's a metaphor. And so I do believe that there are those of us that are, whatever way of singing or painting or putting our artistry or creating our vibration of expression, ultimately, that we are, even though we don't see it. And again, could it be literal that, yeah, maybe, but I also, we're in this, everything is story. So
Mm-hmm.
while there's bombs dropping and all these things happening, in order to stop this wave And we know that the rebirth, the contractions of the Pachamama, great mother Gaia, are
Mm,
happening
mm,
in order to really do that, even if it's by one's paint stroke or, you know, whatever way of expression that it is that each of you that are watching and that are experiencing this conversation, that is us singing the one note, whether it's through singing, whether it's through art, whatever sort of expression it is, that, you know, we
mm,
get to metaphorically push that wave back into the ocean.
mm. That's deep. That's a deep dream. And yeah, it's wow. You touched on the voice being so vulnerable earlier, and it reminded me of how the voice is so intricately connected to the womb, or to the really to the reproductive space, to the pelvis.
Mm-hmm.
And if I think of like socially where we've been going, what I've been observing for my lifetime, and really thinking about, yes, I've been observing celebrity culture, I've been observing just like drone culture, I would call it. Um,
Interesting. Yeah.
and I, I long so deeply for people to be in touch with their roots, with our roots, with the root of who we are as humanity and as human beings and ourselves, so that we can show up in this beautiful, biodiverse ecosystem of humans rather
Mm-hmm.
than like monoliths of humans or monocropped humans, which is like a lot of times how it feels. But um, imagining like everyone joining together, which is such a beautiful support structure. Like I'm imagining someone being on my right and my left. So I'm supported by two people. Everyone is supported by two people, and one on each side, plus all of our ancestors and memories at our
Mm-hmm.
back.
Mm-hmm.
And singing together, one note that connects the mouth, the heart, the lungs, the stomach, the womb, and the reproductive organs. And I mean, when I speak of womb, I guess I don't exclude men from that, or
Same.
even males from the experience of the womb. I definitely think that males can experience the womb. Um, so yeah, like having that all aligned and supported together. And I feel like I do this with plants all the time. Like if a patch of plants is doing really well, I'll put a plant that is not diseased or anything, but maybe it's smaller or runted, or I started it later or something like that. And I just feel like, the collective energy of the other plants doing well will rise that one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to their same level. And that's what it feels like to me to imagine people linked by hands or by arms, side by side, singing a note together, matching even people who before now wouldn't be able to match tone, would match tone because of the energy, um, because we're so malleable,
Mm-hmm.
at our root to what's happening around us. So I love that image so much, and I love the image of imagining people be so connected within to allow that vulnerability supported by others, and like that being a magical frequency that can can shift the earth. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep. We're in it.
yeah. We are it.
I have that, uh, I mean, call it a mantra, call it a choir verse of what you sang at V's memorial. And
Mm-hmm.
it like, because as I was thinking about today and just kind of spending time with you, I was like, oh, wow. So I have it written here in front of me. The holiest thing you can do
Mm-hmm.
is awaken to who you really are. But together we could sing it. And if any of you that are watching want to join, we could sing if you want to lead us, Marie, in
Yeah.
singing that.
Yeah.
And
You know,
yeah,
these are V's words. You know that, right? Yeah. So she
you
wrote
sung
these
them, she
words.
wrote them. Yeah.
She wrote them, I sang them. Um, yeah. The holiest thing you can do is awaken to who you really are. The holiest thing you can do is awaken to who you really are. The holiest thing you can do is awaken to who you really are. The holiest thing you can do is awaken to who you really are. I think it works as a round.
Mhm. That was such a beautiful. I have a clip of that on my phone, and the plan is to continue this. I've been
Yeah.
just banking all the footage, and this will be a documentary.
Mm.
And I've been just, there it will be multi-tiered stories shared. But that was such a powerful moment to
Mm-hmm.
have you singing in that church. So I do have a clip of it, and I was like, wow. And I don't know if they recorded her memorial, but to meet you through that, through another friend who passed away, and then to find kindred, which she knew was gonna
Yeah.
happen, which was so fun.
Oh yeah.
And she was
Yeah.
like, no, 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 you and like, yep, this is, and
Yep.
she was just this little maestro, you know,
Yeah.
just like setting the tone for
Yep.
people.
Yep.
And yeah, I knew I was right away too. I was like, okay. And we know that Steph is a part of that too. So it was just so cool that the three of us were there because I was like, oh yeah. As far as when it comes to film, and I get so much information of almost like future timelines every time that we talk, where I'm like,
Mm.
oh, this
Mm.
is interesting. This is
Yeah.
okay. And
Uh-huh.
so I can feel spirit tilling the soil and kind of just
Yeah.
cultivating it and just,
Yeah.
and I'm like, okay, just here. We're just here
Cool.
and
Cool.
listening.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, but
I know spirit will prepare my heart, as time moves. Yeah. Uh-huh.
hmm exactly. The final, I think, through line, just to end us off in this, would be knowing because I think people will understand who V is through even just this, and it's not just about this now, it's about us who are living. But what did this can be universal through grief, or also just your relationship with V, who represents joy to so many of us, alegría in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
um what has grief taught you about life?
Oh my God, grief has taught me about life. Um, Grief has taught me to live, like really live fully, to appreciate things.
Mhm.
Obviously, I think so many people can attest to that. Appreciating the smaller things, appreciating people more, appreciating time um, with people that I love. It's, I think, taught me how to love more maturely.
Mm,
Um, and this is probably coupled with some other lessons from life, but I can remember, like, for years after my mother died, sort of being afraid of loving as deeply and losing, because
mhm.
we'll lose. We will all lose. We will all grieve someone in our lives. So I remember some years where I was, you know, fearful of that loss again, and then it happened again and again and again and again, and I'm still here. It's like in some ways, I feel like because I went through the death of my mom, there's a lot of other things I can face. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
my mom
Mm-hmm.
died. I can handle this. You know what I mean? This breakup, I can handle this. My mom died. Like, like it's
Mm-hmm.
just, yeah, like nothing is that that deep that like I should doubt myself, my
Mm-hmm.
ability to not only survive it but thrive through it, learn from it, make beauty out of it, see beauty in it, and gain from it. Um, so yeah, and then grief has taught me how to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Grief taught me to be quiet, like for sure. Grief was like sit down and be silent. Be silent and listen. Be silent and listen and go slowly. Be silent and listen and go slowly and spend time with this plant over here. Um, yeah, I it was like I immediately went into plant care and plant life and started devoting myself to plants. And I think, plants are good for the heart.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense that that's where I should gravitate toward after the death of my mother. And I was like not attracted to performing for some time. And even now, I'm not that attracted to it. I love art, I love music. I am a performer at heart and by blood. So I think I'll always have access to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't have, in healing many griefs, not just grief over the death of a loved one, but also grief over the death, the transition of myself, or the separation of me and other people or friends, exes, um, but also the griefs about just transitioning myself, my mindset, um, becoming different, and having to let go of mentalities that I held before. Um, there's always some storm and some grief in that because it often means that I also feel separated from people who were important to me at that time in my life
Mm-hmm.
when I had that mentality that I still gain from, I still feel love with, but I have changed. And it's just like, I feel like grief and loss have learned me to, um, like that whale story, like to let it go when it is time and to trust that I will still be magical and I'll still have a great time and I'll still enjoy my love and my life and the way that I move on my current, and that eventually another friend will meet me and swim alongside me for a while, and then we'll separate again. So it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow grief has taught me love, deeper love and acceptance of love, but also detachment from um, form and needing things to stay the same way. Um, yeah, which is why I say this a lot. I say this on my podcast. I'm like, our formless loved ones are still in relationship with us if we continue the relationship. If we abandon the relationship because we don't see them in the form that we knew them in, then that's our choice. But um, or sometimes maybe our ignorance. Um, but they still exist,
Mm-hmm.
and our relationships with them can still exist, but it is going to look different. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Beautifully said.
yeah.
That gave me a lot of food for thought too. Yeah.
Mm,
I
mm,
appreciate how you process. Thank you so much.
mhm. What about you?
And mm,
What's grief taught you?
everything that you definitely just shared too. There is no other choice but to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I would have died too.
Hmm. Yeah,
So it
I
forces you
think so.
into presence.
Hmm.
Um, forces you into slow. Yeah, just this. It's. I toy with this. It forces you to let go of many other things other than just that person who is now formless. Or if we're speaking of losing people, I guess that's
Mm,
grief is a, like you said, it's much more multifaceted than one thing. But in my losing of my father or friends or yeah, divorce, all these things, it's you have to let go of everything else. So possessions,
mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
like I'm like, what? So people are like, oh wow, like they're still in like super material, and I'm like, I don't even own one piece of furniture. Like I've now been so nomadic in my life
mhm,
because yeah, so grief taught me to let go of everything else.
mhm,
And
mhm.
it brought me further into the awareness of the I am. I am my altar.
Yep,
I am the traveling altar. Like I am,
yep.
I am very present to that day. So when people are super into scheduling out way far in advance, it's really challenging for my mental health. I don't even understand. I don't even understand how they're still planning. I'm like, really? Okay, fascinating. Meaning like, like 3 year plan. I'm like, what?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
It causes me to be so present, which I've wondered, and I sit in the contemplation around if a brother actually recently, this very powerful brother that I sat in an ayahuasca ceremony with recently, did a private session with me, and he's like, I think you might be addicted to grief. And I've been sitting with that and I've
Mm,
been toying with it
mm,
because he's not wrong, but
mhm.
also how can you not be in this timeline? I guess
Yeah,
to me, I'm like, not that I want to be wallowing in complete, you know, self-sabotage, like meaning just where I'm
right,
fully in it, where I'm like, I have to be the one to like save the world. No. But I
right.
really feel like if you are not present to what's actually happening globally,
Mhm.
there's a lot of grief. And so I
Yeah.
think this is for certain individuals an initiation to be, and I
Mhm.
painted a picture of Virgen de Guadalupe, i.e. the Great Mother, and she has tears.
Yes,
All of
she
the
came to
self,
me.
did
Yeah, she
she?
came to me once. I was in a
She's
breathwork
been,
session and I was like, whoa. Yeah, the love. The love
yeah, the
was, I had
love.
never experienced that. Yeah, I was like, oh, this is divine love.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of the self portraits that I have, I mean, because technically I made her into an aspect of me too, because I feel like this sage like great mother energy. Every portrait that I have a big one here.
Hmm.
They're all crying, tears of
Hmm.
gold.
Hmm.
They're gold
Hmm.
tears.
Hmm.
But I am one that cries for the world. And I think I've been
Yeah.
always, ever since I was very little. I just like always had such an empathetic soul.
Yeah.
So I was able to mask for a while and kind of like fit
Yeah.
in the matrix for a bit and numb out. And now I
Mm.
just, yeah, so grief has taught me to be okay with that,
Hmm.
to be okay with not being okay and being like, yeah,
Right.
we're all going through quite a bit. And
Totally.
um, I'm now in the integration of trying to dream again and really trying to vision cast and hold on to really beautiful dreams of what I see
Mm.
for future.
Mm.
Um, even if it's just a week or 2 weeks or a few months, like I'm even through the rest of the year. Like that's about how far I can go through the rest of 2025. I've kind
Hmm.
of got a little bit of a light plan. I'm like, okay, I feel like this, and okay, I see this, but I'm not trying again to hold on with knuckles white. It's just more of this, okay, but you can also be the reality creator of at some capacity of your life of what does it feel like? May not exactly how you foresee it happening, but what does it feel like?
Yeah.
And always how it's been coming through for me in the last couple of years of that is through landscape. So I'm
Mm.
following the
Mm.
frequency. And right now, the landscape that I'm in, to be honest, it's paradise to some people. And I am so inward right now
Hmm.
that I'm like, oh my God, like I should never complain. I'm literally living in where people dream to come to visit, but I'm feeling woods, deers, like the what's coming through is
Yep.
another landscape that's and be where your
Yep.
feet are. I'm here right now, so I am enjoying
Totally get
parts
it.
of it, but I
I
can
get it.
feel the next part is like not
Yes.
here.
Yep.
It's
Same.
actually woodsy and
Yeah.
fertile, like really rich
Hmm.
trees, like and
Hmm.
yeah, it just feels like a completely different. Even like the architecture, it's different. It's not this.
Hmm.
So, and I come here
Hmm.
to Tulum to kind of be on the cenote water systems to vision cast it, and that sends me on the next voyage. So that's where I'm at.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
this exact neighborhood has held me through my, because this was the neighborhood that I found out when my dad died, and I was in a hurricane when it happened. So this exact neighborhood has held me through such deep grief that it makes sense that I come back here for other grief portals to happen. And it's like this muscle memory where it's this sovereignty,
Yeah.
where I'm found in a lot of
Yeah.
sovereignty through it.
Yeah. That's interesting you mentioned that, because when V died, I almost immediately wanted to get into a car and drive to California. I was like,
Mm.
I really want to drive to California, which is where I went after my mom died.
Oh.
For me, California, Northern California specifically, was like so restorative and so healing. And I didn't even know at the time how healing it was. But in retrospect, I can really see and feel how healing it was. So when V passed, I was like, I want to get in a car and drive to California right now and
Mhm.
process this. Yeah, I'm glad
Mhm.
that you mentioned that, that brought that up, because, yeah, that's been a place for me in the
Mhm.
US. Yeah.
And for anyone that's listening, the other thing that comes through is to visualize. I've been recording these, I'm building an online mystery school and I've been doing these visual meditations. So even because we can remember using the Merkaba, travel to anywhere we want in the world. So I've been to multiple places around the world without actually physically needing to be there. So this is what's so cool about coming into more of a quantum sense of reality. Um, Vision casting the redwoods, really visualizing and going into the quantum and being in that richness and being with the deer and being with, because we can be anywhere we want. So that's
Yeah.
the invitation
Yeah.
too.
Thank you for that. Thank you. I received that invitation. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I need that, because I've been a little frustrated with being where I am at the moment, knowing that I want a different environment. Yeah, I
Hmm.
want to be in a different environment as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
The sacred remembering,
Hmm.
it's funny, this whole consciousness game.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. Right. Because you're like, I'm conscious, I'm conscious. And then, there are parts of you that are still a toddler.
Because I wanted to be here so badly when I was in Arizona in the dry
Uh
desert
huh.
bed. And I was like, I just want to be in Tulum. And now I'm here. And I'm
You
like,
are.
wow, okay. And how much am I enjoying also the landscape here as much? Because I need to go through this process. And then
Hmm.
next month, this was the inward month. And then next month is more of the like, but I needed a little bit of a cocoon. And so
Hmm.
it's interesting to have like, it has been, thank God, there's been some rainy days, which are so nice for me because then I just make it more of a cocoon. But it feels
Yeah.
very weird to be in deep grief out here when there is no winter.
Uh
And
huh.
I know we're summer,
Uh huh.
but
Uh
there
huh.
is no, even when I've been living here, it's grief is a
I know
super
what you
strange
mean.
thing for me out here in Mexico because specifically here on the peninsula of the Yucatan, it's sunny all the time. So
Hmm.
then you're like, and I'm not feeling very sunny.
Hmm.
So I'm craving that deep, dense forest kind of
Hmm.
vibe.
Hmm.
And the irony is, I'll want to be here. So let
Yeah.
me just transcend there, in the visualizing of the
Yep.
meditations and
Yeah.
channeling that energetic and
Hmm.
painting as if I was there still.
Hmm. Hmm.
And
I
then I
love
will be
that.
there, of course, in
Yeah.
due time, in whatever that landscape is.
Right.
But it is very, yeah, landscape calls to me.
Yeah. Same. Same.
Mhm.
I think specifically like our sources call to me. And for me in the mid Atlantic, like our sources, water, air, earth, are so
Mm.
polluted that I feel like I have to fight my environment. to live
Mm-hmm.
well and healthily, and I don't want to have to do that. So yeah, but I love that, and I that actually yeah. Oh my gosh, thank you so much because I'm remembering now. I mean, it was 15 years ago when my mom died, so there's a lot of things that I've forgotten, but I remember I still was living in her house after her passing, and I had found two photographs that were hers that didn't have any writing on it. I didn't know where it was, but one was like a foggy valley of um, evergreen trees. I'm not sure what kind of trees they were. They could have been redwood, but it was like a foggy valley in one picture, and the other picture was a rocky beach. Um, and I kept those by my nightstand, and I looked at them every day, and I transported myself into those pictures, into that place. And then I wound up in California, in Northern California, north of San Francisco, and in a valley, where I could look over the valley, and it was foggy as fuck. And when we went down to the beach, it was the rocky beach. It wasn't like a, sandy, nice sandy. It was like rocks and then ocean. And that's exactly what was in the photo. So I appreciate you just
Mm-hmm.
switching that perspective for me right now because um yeah, because I think I was attaching to the form. I've been
Mm-hmm.
frustrated because I've been attaching to the form, and I'm like, I'm not in the form, but I don't have to be in the form yet. I just have to see myself, feel myself in the
That's the
place.
intersection now between technology too, because I think that's where we're heading.
Mm-hmm.
Of like, and that's how quantum is going to get, where
Mm-hmm.
there's going to be augmented and virtual reality experiences
Mm-hmm.
that still are healing because it is a neutral thing, just like money is a
Sure,
neutral thing. This
sure.
new intelligence is
Mm-hmm.
actually ancient intelligence, just the same. So it's
Absolutely.
this paradox that we're facing, and we're kind of going because it's early still, and we're like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
uh, what? And then we're gonna
Jobs.
realize, oh, but now we get to experience so much, maybe more than our senses have been thinking that this was what, right? So I
Yeah,
do have
that's true.
that's the Aquarian side of me where I'm like embracing parts of technology and wanting to
Mm-hmm.
not be completely, adverse because I'm like, there will be advancements that really change the paradigm here. It's just going to take some.
Yeah,
I mean, look at
calibrating.
this. Look at how much more
Yeah,
connected we were because of we didn't
totally.
have this before. So,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is going to be beautiful things from it as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
I say to that.
Ashe. Grateful for you, Marie. Thank you for
Yes,
sharing
you
your
too. Thank
voice.
you, Elle. Thank
And
you so
if
much for the invitation.
And yeah, and if anyone wants to listen to your beautiful voice translating some storytelling and continuing to be that
Mm-hmm.
vibration and vessel of voice, then I will link everything below so that you can follow
Perfect.
Marie and her voice. And I'll link the song too. That 1111 song is beautiful. The
Yes,
transmission that came
yes.
through is so gorgeous.
Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. Thank
Great.
you so much.
Thanks,
And then you
Elle.
can
Talk
stay on
soon.
here and we'll
Okay.
end it.
Mm-hmm.